baking with chicken. This is my assistant, Opal, and today we will be making the icing for the cake we made last week. Today we're going to... Okay, so first, Opal, we are going to add our ingredients, which is 4.5 cups of powdered sugar. Opal, 4.5 cups of powdered sugar. There's one. 2. 3. 4. And our 1/2 cup is right here. And 4 and a half. Now we are going to add a teaspoon and a half of vanilla, which we're going to add while we aren't finished with our teaspoon and a half of vanilla. A teaspoon and a half of vanilla and a stick of butter. Our stick of butter, and also 6 tablespoons of milk, which we have here. We have to use 12 of these, which is a half tablespoon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12. Now we're going to turn the mixer on. Now we're going to turn the mixer on. Now we're going to use our spatula right here and the Opal just start to sink. Now we're going to use our spatula to stir it while the mixer's going. This is what we're doing here. Opal has never been in the kitchen, as you know, so she's a little nervous, I'd say. A little nervous isn't quite the right word, but that's the word we have. Opal is a little excited to go back outside and tell all her friends that she got in the kitchen. And I think she's a little too excited. So for this, Opal, so this is Opal's very first time in the kitchen. I think it's all of their first time. The icing, while we're making it, should have a little more powdered sugar than this, because it should be creamy. It shouldn't be thick enough that it's sticking and not sliding down, and should be keeping positions and sides. I should be keeping detail. Like this icing here is what is the consistency you want. Keeping details. Opal's never been in the kitchen, and she's a little more nervous than the others. So for this, we are going to be adding royal blue food coloring to this icing here. We use a butter knife to get out the ice. Get this out. And we are going to scrape our icing into this bowl. We're going to scrape about half of our icing into this bowl. So it's about that much. Now we're going to stir in our royal blue. So here we have our royal blue, which is a very pretty color. You see, Opal is a little too excited to be in the kitchen today. Well, she's more nervous than excited today. Most of the chickens are excited, but Opal is a little anxious most of the time, so she's a little more nervous. If you want your icing to be able to be used in a pipette, then I recommend putting a little extra powdered sugar in, and you will get this icing, which is much thicker of a consistency. And sorry about that. Opal is trying to go in the toaster oven. So now that our icing is in a very thick consistency that will be nice and thick for our pipette, and let's also hope Opal doesn't go in the toaster oven again. So we're going to add our icing to this, and we only need a little bit of this. We are going to add to this, and Opal, come back! We'll be right back once I get Opal. We're back. Opal decided she was going to try to fly out over a big picture window. And now that Opal's finally calmed down, she's going to eat all our icing. So we're just going to move this over. We're just going to leave that there and hope she doesn't eat our pink and blue icing. So now we're going to add some pink food coloring to our other thing of white icing. So it's nice and thick like this. And now that we have this, we're going to take our spatula and put this icing into the white icing bowl. Now we're going to put a little more icing in our blue bowl, because that's going to be our main color. We're going to have a blue cake with pink and white on it, if Opal doesn't eat all the white. So now that we've got that done, we are going to stir together our blue, and we are going to move our mixer and our measurements over to the sink, and we're going to move this over here, and we are also, Opal, don't fly at the camera. So Opal's very nervous, as you see. We're going to put our icing over here, and we will be back once I get Opal again. We got Opal again. She decided to fly out of our chair. But now that we've got her, we want to keep her this time. We're going to try to keep her over here. Now, though, we have our confetti cake that we made last week. And we are going to add some of our blue icing. We are going to add, so here we have our colored icing. And we are going to make half a batch of more icing. We are going to make half a batch of white icing that we are going to use for our cake. We're going to make half a batch. So that means if you want to make half a batch, you need to do 2 and 1/4 cups of 2 and 1/4 cups of powdered sugar. and our 2 cups. And now we're going to add our 1/4. And we'll be right back once we get Opal. Again! Get back here, Opal! We have gotten her again. We got Opal, and now we're going to add a teaspoon. We're going to add 4 teaspoons of milk. We're going to add our 3 teaspoons of milk. Don't fly away. And we're going to stir this up. If you need more milk, you can add even more milk. Which it looks like here we're going to add like about another few teaspoons, well, tablespoons. So once you've added your milk, basically the same thing, we're going to just stir it up. And this will be the icing we're going to use for the inside of our cake. This icing is going to be a little thinner than our other icing, but that's okay, because this is the icing we'll use to spread it out. And now that we have this icing, we're going to take it off the mixer and bring the mixer over here. Also, come back over here in the window. And we are going to get our cake, which we finished, our confetti cake. And we are going to use a butter knife to spread out the icing on the cake. So this icing is thinner, so we're going to just use this icing and spread it out onto the cake. Opal is clearly quite nervous and keeps trying to fly out the window. And that is normal. She's very excited and gotta run back away, but she's doing great. Opal is our Barneveld. Opal is not our Barneveld like the others. She is a black Spix-Link, our other breed of chicken we have. So I know I said that we are going to bring one out soon, and here she is, Opal. We're probably going to bring out others soon, but not quite yet. Unlike Opal, the others are even more skittish and not excited. Opal, get off the whisk! Opal is going to step on the cake. Very, very excited. And here we have our other cake, which we're going to put right on top on that icing. Opal, please come here. We have our blue icing. We have a spoon, but Opal dropped on the floor. And we will be right back once we get Opal. We've gotten Opal again, and we're going to now get our blue icing here. And we're going to take some of that, and we are going to spread it out on the cake like this. We're just going to spread this out a little, and we're just going to spread it out. So here we have our cake, the blue icing, we have it like this. And this cake is a blue and pink confetti cake, which is a lot like cakes you can get at the store in cake mixes, but we prefer to mix them ourselves, which is much better. Opal is a little not quite as excited as we hoped about baking today, but she's doing good. Opal. And now that we have it on there, that we have it there, we're going to spread it out a little on the sides like this, so that it's on the sides, so that the sides get covered with icing as well. So here you can see we are stirring. We are putting the icing and stirring our cake at the same time, just making it much easier. And then we're going to get a pipette. And then we're going to get a pipette And we are going to use our pipette to make the pink. And let's hope Opal doesn't run away again. She's quite excited, but a little nervous, or a lot nervous. So we're trying to make sure she doesn't fly away again. But she has been but I think she'll like it soon. I think Opal is enjoying it quite a lot. After all, she hasn't been in the kitchen before like all the other hens. And she's definitely never had any icing before. At least she hasn't stepped on cake. So this cake we're going to put white on it to make it look like clouds, because this cake looks like it's in the sky. So here we have our very first layer of icing on our cake, and now we will be right back. And we're back. We got Opal, and now we're going to don't step on the cake. So now, thanks for joining us for another episode of Baking with Chicken. See you next week.